Mr. Adebajo, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Grand. Sir, so what kind of structural assessment or inspections would be required to determine if the bridge is safe for reopening? As we've just heard, the governor of Lagos State varying with the opinion of the Minister of Works. Let's also consider both the recent orders by these two and the concerns about the functionality and safety.
Okay, so good evening, and I send my greetings out to all Lagosians who have been through a harrowing experience over the last 24 hours. Directly answering your question, we all know that bridges are very important. They convey a lot of load, vehicular, from one end to the other, and it's continuously under a lot of loading, as it were. Structural engineers have a role to design structures to be safe, to remain safe, and also to inspect these bridges and infrastructure to make sure that as buildings age, that we're taking appropriate steps to make sure that they still remain safe. So what is usually expected is periodic maintenance, periodic inspections, and where there is a need for some enhancement, for some rehabilitation, that takes place. So what we are seeing here is not out of the ordinary. It's to be expected. I think what has given Lagosians, including myself, I dare say, some pain is, of course, how it's implemented. And I think that's very important too.
Oh, I do feel sorry for you if you were in that traffic from yesterday. But Mr. Adebajo, how do you assess the potential long-term effect of reopening a bridge that may require extensive repairs? Also noting that there had been some concerns regarding the safety from before and that it had been postponed for 3 years. Now it's been dug up and it's been said that it would be reopened after feeling it all back again. What are your concerns here?
Well, my biggest concern is that we don't seem to even know all the information. And I know, of course, we are the general public. One could say, well, keep it away from them, but I don't think that's the way to go about it. This is a matter of collaboration. I think if there are concerns about the bridge, without it being alarmist, it's very important that that information is disseminated in a responsible way, both to the general public and, of course, to professional bodies like the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers, because we can also play a part. We can also give advice. But once there is a defect, it does not mean it will collapse. What is most important is that at any point in time, the defects do not reduce the load carrying capacity or the ability for it to remain up. So whether it's 3 years, whether it's 5 years, I think what's very, very important is that there should be the periodic maintenance. And if there is an alarm bell, of course, it must be redressed. You asked about my concern. My concern is that currently there's a slight difference between the federal minister and the state government. The governor has understandably said this has been on for long and it needs to be redressed. The minister, on the other hand, has his instructions to make sure that Lagos doesn't end up being in a full state of chaos. I think both sides want the same thing. It's how we go about it. And so what I would say is, as a structural engineer, we look at what are the risks, we look at what needs to be done, and we go ahead and implement. If I jump straight into implementation, I think the reason why we seem to be in a state of chaos is because it doesn't appear as if the implications of this maintenance work has been fully thought out. It's just in our usual way, we're closing roads. General public, please be aware. LASMA will direct traffic. Be reassured. But we can't be reassured because what we saw yesterday, I was in traffic for 8 hours between my office in Onikom and Lekki Phase 1. It's never been. I've never even imagined such a thing would happen. And so the question would be, what are the things that should be done or should have been done? I think before I appear to be unduly critical, it's useful to say that there were some things that were done well. Firstly, they identified the fact that the bridge needs some repairs rather than just going on until it leads to a collapse. So proactivity, yes, I give a tick mark. They've also did put some signage. I saw a few signs a few days ago saying Independence Bridge closed. So again, it's half a tick, because I'll also say that talking to some people, they don't even know what or which is Independence Bridge. So I think there's a lot more required there. So there were a few tick marks. They did try. Last mile were out on the roads, but then there were so many negatives. And if I have to list one or two, I would say you need to anticipate and manage traffic flow. It's not just about putting last mile officials on the road. You need to manage it and recognize that Lagos as a mega city is heavily populated, and you need to really do all you can. There are various ways that we engineers would manage that. Of course, signage I talked about, but even in terms of phasing of the construction, phasing of transportation, providing alternatives, there's so many things that should have been done, and it's a missed opportunity to show how great I think Lagos State has been doing, and also the federal ministry as well has been doing very well. But this, has not gone down very well, and I hope we won't just get to knee-jerk reactions of saying, well, we're opening it up or we're not. I think it needs some thinking, and the professional bodies are there to be consulted as well.
Now, Mr. Adebajo, engineering aside, fidelity tests and all noted, let's talk about the communication of matters here, whether between the two authorities, the state governor and the Minister of Works. How important is communication here and collaboration between the different stakeholders in ensuring that the repair work and reopening are handled effectively, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's in a situation as I've described, where we're so heavily populated and infrastructure is not just old, but it's inadequate. Collaboration is absolutely important. It's not about the headline news and statements coming out, flashy statements. It's about getting down to it, sitting down, to take away the big boys. Let us engineers talk about it. The ministry engineers, they're up to the task. Sit down, estimate what that traffic flow is going to be like. What needs to be done? Do we need to even dissuade some people from coming into Lagos at all? Do we need to provide park and ride facilities? Do we need to guide the traffic in a certain way? Yesterday, it was just everyone for themselves. So Lagos gridlocked. Everybody was just trying to get to where they could go. I actually got down for 2 hours directing traffic outside the residence of the deputy governor. I mean, I found that was quite ironic. That place was chaotic. And after I left and headed towards the Lekki Bridge, of course, everything came to a halt again. So I either had to have waited there or it is what it is.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you for your good work helping direct traffic yesterday. Maybe all of Lagos should have done that. But there's something to note here that the Lagos State government must have had engineers assess the situation before attempting to service the bridge. And the Federal Ministry of Works must have also done something to at least maybe assess the situation to see if it can be reopened. David Umahi himself is an engineer as well. They've had engineers assess the situation. So the conflict is a bit worrying here. If all these engineers have assessed these situations and we're having conflicting results from all of them, one on safety, one on the importance or urgency of the traffic situation in Nigeria, and then there's the big concern of safety of the bridge itself. So what gives?
Well, let me first say that engineering is a complex profession, in that it's not just about sitting down and doing the calculations. It's about taking a holistic view, looking at sustainability, looking at the practicality of things. So I think what was missing here, yes, you're right, many of the key actors are engineers, but I think what was missing here was, we know what Lagos is like on a regular day. So All you need is to sneeze on the road and something, an effect occurs. So how can you possibly have sent everybody coming from Victoria Island in one direction when they would have been going in at least two directions? Obviously, it wasn't going to work unless you put something in place. So I think as engineers, yes, there some aspects of the work was done, presumably done well, but there is a lot more to be done. And again, it's collaboration. Nobody knows it all. And so I think what I'm hoping, and I'm hoping to hear this, is enough of, just acting to the camera and actually sitting down, calling in at, concerned parties to sit down and decide what happens here. For instance, I know I heard possibly two days ago that the governor actually said, please, can you be working remotely? I mean, these are things which you can't sit down and do a calculation. You need to appeal to the citizens. And I think that's the way forward. We need to start looking at, engagement, stakeholder engagement in a real manner so that we actually do get the results. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to go through what we went through. I don't know if somebody tried to estimate the amount of damage that was done yesterday, possibly even people dying out of the inability to get to hospitals, but it was a mess. And Lagos mustn't ever experience that again.